and I think most of you do. I'm Todd Clark, and I agreed to serve as the VP of Program this year as part of being on the board and the board of directors for the council. So we wanted to kind of get a meeting of this type together to kind of give everybody sort of an update on what's going on. And this also ties into some sort of strategic initiatives that we set in motion, oh gosh, probably over a year ago. And, you know, we obviously know what happened in the last year and why things have been delayed and whatnot. So we thought the time was right to do this. And to get everybody informed of sort of what new things we got out there and kind of get us all on the same page. So, sorry, I'm still monkeying around here with my multiple screens. Okay, so that, I guess, do we want to just jump right into the agenda here, Joe?
Yeah, I think so. If we want to, you know, maybe have everybody on the call introduce themselves briefly and whatever projects they work with, since we got a lot of folks here that maybe don't always connect with each other.
There we go. Okay, now I can see who's all here.
Right.
Yeah. So if we won't mind, I guess let's just go around the horn and introduce yourself. Do you want to start? I know everybody's playing in a different order here. So Margaret?
I'm Margaret Karasik, Viroqua, and I'm co-chair, I guess, with the community, with Elias, on the training team.
All right, awesome. Going across the horn, Dirk, Amber?
Hi there, it's Dirk and Amber. Just say we are out of La Crosse, technically, but we are part of the PAC 69 with an Onalaska to the American Legion. And Dirk is, what are you?
New title, I can't remember.
And he's got a new title with the council, working with Eric Strauss, and he can't remember what it is, but.
You guys also work with the Polar Day Camp program, right?
We have done the Polar Day Camp for the last 2 years. We've coordinated that as well. Mm-hmm.
All right, excellent. Okay, I guess we'll go Al.
Yeah, Alan Abrahamson here from Austin. I'm on the executive board. I'll be the Wood Badge course director for the next Wood Badge course coming up in September of 2022.
All right, excellent. Let's go with Carla.
Hi, I am Carla Leon. I work with PAC 17 out of La Crosse. I also help with spookery and the week-long day camp.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Andy.
I'm Andy Olson. I'm with Troop 91 out of Holman, and I'm co-chair for Merit Badge Day.
Awesome, thank you. Elias, I'm jumping around now.
I am Elias Ellefson from Viroqua. I'm Margaret's partner in crime with our community, Cub Scout community down here in Vernon County. I work with the spookery for the older youth program and let's see, district Camperies. I'm also on Camp Stamp and a member of the camping committee.
Okay. Ken.
I'm joining late. I am chair of the camping committee. I am also on cope and climbing. part of Ranger Corps.
Awesome. Thank you. Tim.
I'm from DeSoto, but I work mostly in lacrosse with Crew 42 and Troop 22. And Troop 229, I am Scouts BSA District Program person. And I do a lot with the training.
Thank you. And then Alex.
I'm Alex Metry. I'm from Onalaska. I'm helping out with the website and the registration system online through the board.
All right. Thank you, Alex. And then I will circle back for those of you that weren't here right at the beginning. So I'm Todd Clark. I have, I'm serving as the VP of program for this year as part of being on the board. Also, I'm involved with some of the strategic planning effort with John Handley. So some of the stuff we're going to talk about today, it sort of marries up well for this conversation. So I'm involved with Troop 91 at Holman, and then have been involved with the training committee in the past as well. So, all right. Do we want to get started then?
Yeah, so big thank you to everybody for joining us. There real quick here, I'll share just a quick slide deck. And, as Todd mentioned, we're kind of coming out of a pandemic year, and obviously a lot of things have been different, but I do want to draw some recognition to really some awesome accomplishments that have happened in the program area within the last year. And, some of us are maybe really aware of these if we served on those projects directly, others of us maybe are not. And I know that this list is not all inclusive. So if I ended up missing something, we absolutely recognize that those are really good program impacts too. But, in 2020 on the advancement front, we still had 305 Cub Scouts earn one of their annual advancements and 229 Scouts BSA members. That included 31 Eagle Scouts, which was a little bit up from other years, which my take on that is as our high schoolers had a few less things to do in April, May, June of 2020, they got busy on Eagle projects, which is kind of a neat thing to see. We offered both in-person and online merit badge events. Something that we're really proud of in the council is that we launched online merit badges last year in April during the Governor's Safer at Home order. We actually had scouts from 17 other states participate in those in addition to our local kids. So we had, scouts from Onalaska earning the Fish and Wildlife merit badge alongside scouts from New York City in an online capacity, which is pretty neat. And then we added a second in-person merit badge event in November, and that's something that's going to be standard moving forward, is 2 of those in a year for our scouts. We offered summer camp in person thanks to the leadership of the camping committee and our camp director and program director. Great job to that group, and that included 2 weeks of Scouts BSA camping, a Brown Sea camp, and then week-long day camp for our Cub Scouts. And we're only 25% of Scouts BSA camps ran last year, so the fact that we're in that small group is something that we should be really proud of here as well too. We had some great activities, Polar Day Camp, Fall Cub Camp, and Spookery, some of the highlights there. And in my opinion, we got a lot of room for growth in this area in terms of additional things for our Cubs, and that can only help strengthen our overall scouting program. As Cub Scouts that have fun are Cub Scouts that stick with it, and Cub Scouts that stick with it eventually become Scouts BSA members. Then Order of the Arrow, which has been in a little bit of a rebuild for a phase. They have a really dynamic youth leadership team, and they had a great induction weekend last August, which I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I think it was over 40 youth were inducted into the Order of the Arrow, which is a really big deal for our size council. And we're really pleased to be hosting the conclave coming up in September as well. And then Scouting for Food, we saw our scouts once again rally around helping those in need. And we mixed things up with Scouting for Food. This year it was a door hanger, or I'm sorry, it was a sticky note, which that allowed us to customize that for each community with some specific instructions in terms of the day that the food could be put back out, or maybe what food pantry the food was going to go to. And that was really, really well received by the community as a whole. So an example of doing something different with somebody else's idea, and it really brought good things to bear. So just a few of the highlights, but want us all to really be proud of those good program things that happened in the last year, even with challenges that the pandemic brought on as well.
Yeah. And that's the key point too. And that was great. Thank you, Joe. That's the key point, right? We know what the challenge was last year, and now the idea here is it's like, okay, it's time to come out of this. And we want to come out with sort of some momentum. And so that kind of leads us into sort of where I wanted to kind of go next. And I don't know, Joe, did you allow me so I can share my screen?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Perfect. All right, so you should all see a, oops, PowerPoint.
Yep.
I'm playing dueling computers here with multiple monitors now and I'm sort of challenging myself. But you should be able to see this PowerPoint. Okay,
Yes.
I'll be talking to the side of my head will be turned here a little bit. So this was sort of the strategic plan for last year that they came out with the program aspect of the strategic plan. Okay, so working with John Handley, Joe, a couple others, we kind of identified things that we could do, obviously in the middle of the pandemic, and we sort of came up with sort of 3 areas of focus. And that was, sort of like, and again, the theme of this was sort of optimizing our program and events, right? So we looked at things to do for promotion, event planning and resources, and then sort of event quality improvement, for lack of a better term. And so we sort of laid out a plan of some things that we could act on over the course of the last year and a half, of different things that could help, again, optimize sort of the program event effort. So the first thing with this was really this 90, 60, 30-day promotion model. And hopefully most of you, if not all of you, have heard this term thrown out before, but this was sort of a model of what's the optimum amount of time needed to get the word out to a family to attend a Scouts BSA event, okay? And we sort of put that down at 90 days. So initial communication should occur 3 months out. And then at 60 days out, it should be like a reminder, okay, email. And then I believe, did we open up the activity registration then also, Joe?
Yeah, we're opening activity registration at 60.
Yep, and then 30 days is a reminder again to go back. So we were trying to keep it very simple, just a 3-step. 90-day, you announce the event. 60 days, it should be available to register on the website. 30 days, it should be a reminder. Okay, so we sort of set this this plan in motion, and we're going to talk more down the line with some resources that are going to help you. For instance, the 60-day sign up. We've actually got a template on the website that allow you to get all the information in there to make sure that that event does show up and is able to be registered against. Okay, so anything in green has been completed. So that was the first effort. The next was to kind of get this sort of a outstanding 1-year program calendar of all the different program events that the council would offer. Okay, and this has actually been done. This is sort of a misnomer. We've actually done it 2 years in a row now. We just completed the second 1-year calendar. So this was a big win. And, again, a lot of you committees, and we commend you, you worked with us and picked dates and sort of got it out so we could promote this again with the idea that we want to give these families and the Scouts as much lead time as possible to plan for these events and plan to attend. The third goal then of the promotion sort of area is to take this even a step further and try to push this out to 2 years. Okay. We realize that's going to be a pretty lofty goal and there's a lot of things that change, but at least if we can give people an earmark that, it might always be the first weekend in May is this event typically or something like that. Okay. So again, back to the idea that we want to make as much lead time again for these people to plan to attend these events, both Scouts and leaders. All right. The event planning resources. All right. The first effort here was to come up with a registration website. Again, tying back into this 90, 60, 30-day model. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. I think Alex is going to go through that. We talked about standardized templates for the setup of events. Okay, this was something the program team worked with when they laid out the who, what, where, when, how much, all the necessary information that required to basically get these events set up on the registration website, as well as to kind of put it in front of the committees. And again, most of you did it, and all of you did a great job with that, and tying that back into our program calendar. The third step was something that relatively new, but it was pretty clear that we needed sort of a archive. We needed a location for the committees, the teams, the planning teams, and the groups to sort of, store their files, work through these projects, store this information. Okay. In the past, I've been on different teams, for instance, Wood Badge, where we would create a Dropbox, shared drive, and then inevitably somebody would lose rights to it, or we'd lose information in it, or it'd have a cap and we could only store so much data, and we had other issues. All right. So the idea was, well, can we make one centralized sort of sharing storage archive just for council and all the teams? Okay. And we've done that with what's called a Sharepoint site. Okay. So this is a Microsoft product. And actually it was, the license was sort of given to us from BSA National as an extension of their enterprise license. So they already got it. Every council could have a Sharepoint site, and we took advantage of that. So that's built up now. The fourth part of this sort of event planning resources, and I'll show you the Sharepoint site here in a second. The fourth part was the creation of a planning documents template, which we haven't got into yet, but the idea would be perhaps having some kind of a standard, guide or instructions for how the event was planned and set up, more for, sort of future planning teams and things like that. So for instance, if we had here's the instructions for putting on a spookery. So the next team down the line can use those instructions and kind of work through it, and they're not reinventing the wheel from scratch. Okay, to sort of help us with things like succession planning and bringing new resources on board as other resources retire from activities. All right. The third way, okay, and this is something we really haven't got into too much yet, but there was some good ideas thrown around about this, was event quality improvement. And really what it sort of centers around is sort of developing some kind of a standard, either survey tool or if you're familiar with the term, after action report tool. Okay, somehow to give us an idea, number one, using the metrics that the planning team or the program team came up with was, things like, was the event fun, right? The key litmus for any scout. Adult leaders, was the program organized? Was it worthwhile? Volunteer, did you feel supported, prepared? Just very general questions, but we wanted to make sure that we had at least something to kind of go back and look and say, was this event successful? Here's why. So we're going to work on that more in the future here, and I'll probably try to get some feedback from particularly the camping training and the OA groups. Okay. And then what the goal here again is trying to provide visibility for program event success, and also to sort of be able to give and promote a lot of the good work being done by these teams and committees back to, say, the board and things like that. Okay, so that's sort of, I think, sort of the take-home goal here. All right. Sorry, Joe, I can't see which screen I have the agenda on anymore.
Oh, sure. I can switch back to the agenda if you'd like.
That's the wrong one. There we go.
Yep. Yeah, that's
Okay.
there. So,
Perfect. All right. Sorry, I didn't think this was going to be this difficult, but it's like playing dueling banjos. I've got 4 monitors going.
all right. So it looks like I'm up next with the 90-60-30. So I'll just kind of touch on that real quickly and talk about a few of the resources that are part of that. And really this, this came about, well in advance of the pandemic, but we actually had some volunteers. They went out and they did a bunch of research of, families in 2019. What do families feel that they need to be well supported in terms of knowing about something? And I know that we can all relate to our calendars filling up super far out. And for those of you that have children at home, I'm sure it's even more of a significant calendar that fills up. So, we did some research, and I identified that really the majority of families, and this was Scout families told us this through a survey, is that if it was not on their calendar 3 months out, there was a much reduced chance of that happening. So that's part of what led to the development of the council program calendar, and really just kind of a quick snapshot of what we're hoping that each program team, so whether it's a training or whether it's a spookery or whether it's a campery or anything else, you'll have a better chance of optimizing in terms of having a full group of attendees if we've helped you to get the word out 90 days ahead of time. So just real quick, some of those things that we hope to be ready at least 90 days out. Event pricing, and we just ask that you work with our staff on that so that we're using best practice and kind of generating enough funds to pay for the event and helps cover some of the council costs as well. Finalizing a flyer, completing the event registration form online, which we'll show shortly. Sending over newsletter content. Right now, our cadence on the newsletter is that we try and develop it in the first 2 weeks of the month, and then that we get it out mid-month. But any of you as program team members, if you have something you want to tease in there, that actually helps the overall process to have that content kind of generated from the ground up. You can send that over to myself or Zach or Kevin, whoever you work with on one of the events, and then we'd like to get your individual web page up to date 90 days out as well. Even if you don't know all the information, make sure we have the event date on there, the theme, any of the specific activities that you're planning. And that website is super easy to update. So it's really doable to update that as you develop more information, kind of moving through your planning process. And then creating a Facebook event as well. We've seen that to be a good way to generate some publicity. Between that 90 and 60-day mark, we want to open online registration, with 60 days being our target. We'd like to add the event to the homepage if it's especially if it's a more significant activity. Update that newsletter article. Ideally, we're not sending out the exact same thing 3 newsletters in a row, so tweaking it just a little bit, and then getting a direct e-blast queued up to either Cub Scout or Scouts BSA families, so they can get an individual piece of information. And then between that 49 and 30 days, so kind of the month ahead of time, we want to get that newsletter updated one more time, and then sending another email that goes specifically to Scoutmasters, Cub Masters, and unit committee chairs. There, so that's kind of the quick checklist, and we'll share this out with everybody here as well. And then one other item I wanted to share, if you're more of a visual person, we do have this charted out in a spreadsheet as well. So here you'll see that here you'll see kind of right to left, or left to right, you end up having the event and all those different things that we're trying to hit through the planning as well. So you can see here in the 90-day mark, we got a whole bunch of things because we're wanting to get the word out. And then in the 60-day mark, some of those things we touched on. 30 days, and then even in the even some of the after action type things there. So biggest takeaway for you as program team members is if somebody's pinging you asking for information and it feels like it's 3 or 4 months out, that's probably the right thing, because that means that we're able to get that information out to as many people as possible. We just ask that you cooperate or work with us, whether it's a staff member reaching out to you, or maybe Todd, or maybe the training chairperson, or whoever it is that's giving leadership to one of those projects. I think next up we got surveys, events, and then website. So throw it back to you, Todd.
Okay. So, I kind of touched on some of this, and this is really going to be, on the last slide. This is obviously something that's not started, but the overall intent and the goal here would be to come up again with some kind of a standard document that we could hand event participants, training participants, things like that, and sort of have just a one size fits all, very general survey that then we could collect and have that data go back and kind of show, hey, this event was great. Here's our metrics, boom, boom, boom. Obviously, this is going to be something that can be developed over time, but it's just something that, again, I want people to start thinking about. And like I say, I'll probably reach out to the training committee, the camping committee, and the OA, and possibly some others, just to get some idea and some feedback. Idea would be to get something on paper and then have something to work from. So-
Todd, we have one that we've been using for NYLT for years. If you want to, it's not terribly sophisticated, but it's got a lot of the key questions if you want that. as a
Sure, that'd
starting
be
point.
excellent. Yeah, I was thinking between that and also looking at like the wood badge standard template, survey template, just to get some ideas. Like I said, I don't want to make this really heavy handed. I just more want to be able to provide, groups with something to say, hey, ask for feedback. And we know how feedback always works. You don't always get it, but if we make it convenient and easy and then measurable, that we can bring it back and sort of have, comparable results from event to event to event. That's sort of what we're looking for. So.
And some electronic resources that can help that out. If, right now we do have access to a simple SurveyMonkey account. So that's one resource, or else Google Forms is also very easy to use. So we've done that with some of the Cub Scout activities like Spookery. We've just fired out a digital survey afterwards. And, usually have gotten about 20% of the people to respond, which it's provided some good feedback.
I'm
We
gonna
found out when I was on National Camp School staff, we found that staying away from the questions with just a yes or no answer, you got a little bit more feedback, of asking them point questions and having them fill it in the way they felt. You get some better feedback.
Yes, and I'm going to suggest too that you not do it digitally because 20% isn't useful. We do ours on paper and we get 80 to 90% back. And as much as it's nice to have the sortable data on the thing, if you don't have data, it's no good. I'm going to strongly suggest you do them on paper and they do it before they leave.
Mhm.
You hand it out at a meal or a closing event and you have them do it while they're there. They're thinking about it. They write it down, they hand it to you, and then they go, and then you've got it.
And once it goes home, it rarely comes back.
Yes. You got to catch them. You got to have them do it before they leave. They won't do it later.
Yep.
Yeah, we ask favorite activity that we could improve, favorite food, least favorite food. Would you be willing to come back and staff is one of the questions, and contact information if so, stuff like that. So yeah, Margaret's exactly right on no yes or no questions.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up that would you staff, because that's a key question too. And these are some of the benefits that we're looking for with this information. There's some symbiosis that can exist here between, say, like NYLT and finding motivated youth that someday could serve on, camp staff for summer camp.
The last thing we do before we break camp as a staff is we go through all of those forms and process them. We make notes for next year and we make our decisions for who we want to be troop guides based on their responses. So we use that information immediately. And if we wait and have people do it later, none of that can happen.
No, that's great. That's great. So, so stay tuned on this one. I might be reaching out to some of you. Well, I will be reaching out to some of you when we start getting this off the ground. So, okay. Next, we got Alex to talk about the website and online registration form.
You should be able to share your screen if you'd like, Alex.
Okay, should have it now. So this is the website event form I created. So this is basically, it's an easy way I created to inform me of events coming up and have all the details, because our new website that we created probably going on 2 years now is very powerful, but it's helpful to have one spot with all the information. So I'll just briefly go over it. To start out, it's just the name, all the basic like contact info, start and times of events, different registration details. So like times to add if you want a late fee, or when to start registration, close registration, whatnot. And also what fees we're going to have for the registration, if you want out of council units, any other charges, if there are limit on participants per like class or just for the total event. and then any other facilities that might be needed. So this is especially important since have our facilities module that we added about a year ago. So that allows facilities to be rented out to the general public and anyone that would be interested. So this helps us to know that, hey, for your event, you need the Doll Dining Hall. So we'll black that out so no one else can reserve it for that time. And the same as far as program areas. And then just a brief description of any classes or the event in general to update the specific web page. If it's an important event, maybe consider having it on the front of the homepage as a banner or a square. And then any other details that could possibly have not apply or might have missed in the rest of the form. And then any products that you want. Because we can do through Tenor, we can do products for sale. You can also request like t-shirt sizes, stuff like that. And there's also a spot here at the end to attach any flyers or handouts and schedules that you want posted on the web page. So that's basically it as far as the event form.
That's really great. Can you show the on the front page the link to get there again?
Yeah, sure. On like the SharePoint?
No, on the main gateway area or gateway scouting site, because there's a link on the front page, right?
The council homepage.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't think I should add it to one of the menus.
Yeah, I don't think we have it linked right now.
We don't have it linked to anywhere.
That's actually a really good idea to do that. So I'm glad somebody suggested that. So we'll send out the URL as part of the meeting minutes or the meeting notes, and that way you've got it that you can refer back to. The other thing that I would add in terms of helping you as a program team, Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have the ability to add any of these individuals to like receive an automatic update whenever somebody registers, or permission to go in and check the registration status of their event as well if we plan ahead, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so let's say that you're the chair for the Polar Day Camp, and you don't want to have to email Zach every other day to ask how many people are registered. We can set it up where you can log in yourself and be able to kind of check that live time, which I know can be really helpful for planning.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great then, at least so that all the committees know where that link is so they can start utilizing that. Because I know we've had issues with that in the past and run up against other things. So that would be awesome. All right.
So Joe, then does this take the place of the facility registration form that we've used in the past? Or do we do that in addition?
No, we're trying to get all this electronic. So yeah, this would take the place of any sort of paper facility registration form. Yep.
Cool. All right. Awesome.
And hopefully the theme of we're trying to make life easier for everyone is also coming across here and not making it more difficult. So a lot of these things that we're talking about are tools that, either existed in the past or been developed, again, to hopefully make this all sort of, quicker, more convenient, and hopefully less stringent. So, all right. I think I'm up to talk about SharePoint, right?
Yeah, then we can wrap it up with the recognition team.
Oh, sure. Sorry, I jumped the line. I'll be really brief here. Okay, so first of all, are people familiar with what SharePoint is? I know some organizations around the area use it, some schools and whatnot, but in a nutshell, really what SharePoint is and the capacity that we set it up is to really serve as sort of a shared drive in the cloud, if you will. Okay, and that's what this site is here. Hopefully you can see my screen. This is the home page. And rather than try to put together a big team of people to try to develop this, we were trying to go really quick. So we, just a small group of us, really kind of built sort of the same theme, a very generic based template for each committee, and tried to organize it so that we were providing resources to all the different areas of council that we thought might need it. So if you look out here, we basically got sites for all these different groups. So there's a board of directors site, there's one for camping committee, there's a fundraising site, membership, programs and activity, properties, special projects, the training committee, and unit support. Okay, so for instance, I'll show you each site then. I'll go to the camping site, for instance. If you go here, then the site is available. Each one of these links are basically what's called a document library, which essentially function as its own little shared folder. So you can put any file in here. So Word documents, can actually have some stuff out here. You can make subfolders, etc. Okay. Again, it's just a resource for you guys, for the committees to kind of organize their stuff together. Okay. The training one also has a site, sort of similar, very similar to the other ones. And it was organized by the different trainings. So each training would have its own doc library. Wood badge, we could create I think wood badge, I actually created a wood badge doc library for each wood badge event. Just because I know some of those get quite large with different files and materials. Okay. The other thing is the site that Alex just showed you, there's actually a link right in the SharePoint site to get there. Okay, so that's both available on the training site as well as camping. Okay, if you click this link, it opens the form right up. Okay, so it's all tied together. Again, just trying to make it convenient so everything's at your fingertips. There's some other stuff and other features on here that I won't get into, but probably what I would rather do is try to carve out 15-20 minutes of a camping meeting and a training meeting to at least get you two groups off and running with this. There's some security setup that needs to be done, and then usually, try to get everybody logged into it, and it might run into a couple of hiccups with a few people, but other than that, it should be relatively easy to continue to get back on it and use it. So I'll be reaching out to Ken and Lisa to get on those, at least on an agenda there. All right. I think that's all I'm going to say for now about this, but I actually we use this at my work, and I've been using it for probably 15 years. And this is a new version of SharePoint. It's actually really powerful, robust, and really convenient. It utilizes the online versions of Word and Excel. So what I call sort of the Word Lite and Excel Lite. So even if somebody doesn't have a license to those products, it should allow them to open the files and look at them and make changes and things like that. So, okay. All right.
Biggest takeaway on this for you as a volunteer is we're hoping that this can be kind of the repository of all your planning documents. So let's say that, it's coming up here in, July, and we're trying to meet that 90-day mark on having a spookery flyer ready. We can go in, in theory, we can go in here and see like the last 3 years of that flyer and, edit it for the upcoming year, understand what did we do in the past. Historically, a lot of that information has been kind of spread out all over the place. Sometimes it's on a staff person's laptop, sometimes it's on somebody's Google Drive, other times it can't ever be located. And, trying to get to a point where we've got that for planning purposes, but then also make it a little bit quicker to update and get things done.
And that's a really great point. Thanks for bringing that up, Joe. And the other thought with this too was when we first had the initial conversation, we were right in the middle of everything being virtual. And so trying to pass files back and forth through email got to be really kind of annoying. And that's exactly what SharePoint's for. You put it on this cloud, and then you basically log in and you can have the files at your fingertips. You can also do, you can collaborate on documents. You can all be working in the same file at the same time, which is the real huge win for the collaborative nature of it. So stay tuned. I can advertise more for Microsoft at the meetings. So at the committee meetings.
I think the final thing we had on resources, to help you in terms of your program teams was a bit of an update from the recognition team, which has gotten super active in the last few months. They're actually meeting on a regular monthly basis, which is kind of neat. And they're trying to find ways to improve volunteer recognition throughout the council, which I think could be a really good thing in terms of just kind of boosting us as an overall organization. So Zach and Alan, you guys are both on that team.
Yeah, I'm gonna share my screen here. All right, so on our website here, the submit highlights throughout the year. So if you go to this page, which you can find, I just searched recognition or recognition highlights and it popped up. I'm not sure. I think there's also a link on the front page as well. But you can submit a volunteer highlight. Maybe somebody's doing something really well within your unit. But mostly for you guys is the project team highlights. So if you've got somebody that's taking pictures at your event, or you're taking pictures yourself, or you just want to make a submission about what happened, Polar Day Camp, we had 50 kids show up in the morning. These are some of the snow towers that they built, or Spookery. This was the line of kids and their costumes that they had put on. We can submit that, and then the recognition team will be able to capture it. And then at our event in late January, early February, we'll have all that stuff already collected. And then we can not only show it off throughout the year, right after the event, but then show it off at that recognition event that we're going to have once a year too. So easy to follow. You just click the submit on your project team highlight, and then it'll ask you a few questions and any uploads. So project team name, highlight description, team members, and then if you upload any pictures or files, you can do it right there.
Yeah, the other really neat thing with this is it's mobile friendly. So let's say you're out at Camp Decorah and you want to highlight the awesome new hammock campsite that got built, and you got a couple pictures on your phone. Using this website, you can actually just use that feature within your phone where you select the images and they'll get sent right over. You don't have to worry about trying to download the images and emailing it over to somebody and all that.
Yeah, I think we have it on the front page here if you scroll down far enough.
And the other neat thing on this that we're hoping takes root is you see there's a ability to do a volunteer highlight. So let's say that NYLT is getting done and John realizes that, wow, we had the best food ever at this course and I couldn't believe how good it was, and everybody was raving about it. John can actually do a volunteer highlight here where he shouts out the cook, and then that'll allow us to include that in a newsletter, put it on the council Facebook page, eventually archive them on the web page here. So we're hoping this can be a grassroots effort for us to be able to support each other as great scouters and kind of help publicize and highlight all the really good things that people are doing to make scouting go, which should in the long run generate more volunteers for council projects, as well as people really see what a vibrant fun group it is that's making all this happen.
Yeah, and so then the final one would be an Eagle project highlight. So you can make units aware that they can submit this, and not only will we add it to our Eagle map sooner, but also just a good way to continue to capture those moments of us giving back to the community. You can look at what's already been submitted. So if you're on the NYLT team, for example, if one had been kind of a general submission, then you can go back and maybe do something as a volunteer highlight like Joe suggested, or just another, hey, I want to highlight this portion of the event. So you can see what also has been submitted already so far.
This year, we've actually designated a staffer to take pictures and video specifically to document the course. And that may be something people want to informally consider with some of the other activities going on, even if you're just grabbing a parent who runs around with a camera a little bit, not necessarily a Mary Thole, but so we'll hopefully this year have some good stuff to put up there.
That's cool.
And as long as Joe brought it up, we have about 3 or 4 slots left in the course yet open. So if anybody knows somebody who's on the fence about signing up, there's still the possibility.
The other thing that we've got to support this effort is there's both business card as well as like postcard size cards that we have printed up, or we can print them here at the service center. So let's say that you're organizing Polar Day Camp and you want to have those on hand at registration. Every family will get one of those, and they'll have the QR code right on there, which means a family can upload their thoughts or the fun that their kids had that day. And then we're also using that to try and really encourage families to post on social media about the fun that they're having at scouting. And that can really be especially powerful in terms of trying to grow and promote Cub Scouting, to get other parents seeing the fun, you know, that their peer families are having. And that's proven to be a really good way to help grow what we have for youth involved.
One thing we have to be careful of is posting pictures without having permission to post pictures of those kids. So it would be like, we need to ask, because we don't have this on our registration stuff, we need to ask at registration, is it okay if we publish pictures of your kid on the council site? Parents may not want that, and that could cause a problem if somebody sees their kid and they don't want them on social media. So that's something we have to think about.
Yeah, kind of our rule of thumb right now is if it's a faraway shot where you can't see the specifics of an individual youth, then it's something that we, you know, will use for broad distribution.
And don't name the kid in
Right.
the picture. Don't caption with their name unless you have permission. Just
Absolutely.
people not in a school setting may not be aware of that. So I just wanted to lob it out there.
That's a very good point. Very good point. All right. Any other questions, comments? All right. So we wanted to take some time and just kind of go briefly get some updates around the horn, so to speak, from the different committees of what's going on and programmatically. So not meant to put anybody on the spot necessarily, but just get kind of an idea of what's cooking right now. So anyone want to start?
I can go first if that's okay.
Perfect.
So I guess we'll start with cope and climbing. We just had our first level 1 training this past weekend with 4 successful participants. And we are in the process right now of reaching out to start offering some cope activities to start getting those participants a little bit more training as they start to use those skills. From camping side of things, we're meeting monthly. I would say that the best thing to report is just what phenomenal camp director, program director we have. The first time that we've got a full staff lined up. Got many staff that are returning from last year, so the training process will be a lot less light, and they can really focus on their program areas. And we keep adding units. So through the dedication of not only our program and camp director, but also through Joe and the rest of the people at the office, continue to push out and find new units to come along and join us in beautiful Camp Decorah. So we are very, very excited for not only our Scouts BSA program, but all the Cub program we have as well. So hope to report at the end of the year, end of summer anyways, how successful it was. And I would love to have every unit that was there this summer sign up for next year.
Awesome. Thank you, Ken. Who else? Guess we don't have Lisa here, but Tim or John, do you want to talk about training? Or Margaret?
Go ahead, Tim.
We just did iTools, Leave No Traces coming up. iTools was very successful. 7 people at the last minute, including a bunch from 91. One of the things that came out of that for an update is there's a real need for the Scouts BSA people to have an idea what a weekend camp out looks like. You know, what's the limit for the Boy Scouts? What do they need to be doing at that middle school age program level? That used to be in the initial training, but they took that module out. We were just talking about how to get that back in there somehow. The other update is Leave No Trace. We're moving to a trek format, hopefully alternating between canoeing and winter camping from year to year. I think the other updates would come from Al for Wood Badge or John for NYLT.
Well, I can, NYLT, I think we're at 26. Our cap is 30. Preparation's coming together. Our first physical prep weekend is weekend after next, and then we roll into course. So things are going really well. We painted all of our patrol boxes, so they look really sharp and new instead of old and beat up. And we're really excited about that. That's about it for now. Joe, maybe Zach can show you. I sent him, I did a year round. The 30, 60, 90 is great for things like Camperies, but I did a year round for NYLT. And as we move into Wood Badge, I want to talk to Al about maybe doing something like that for Wood Badge as well, because we have aspects of our planning that happen well outside that 30, 60, 90 range. And that'll be helpful for anyone who might, if we all drop dead and someone else has to take over, that'll tell them what needs to happen when.
That sounds terrific.
Perfect. And Al, I didn't know if you want to make a quick Wood Badge plug.
Yeah.
Oh, you just muted, Al.
That better?
Yep.
There you go.
Okay, great. I hit the button. I guess I must double hit. Anyway, we do have dates set for September and October of 2022. I'm currently in the planning stages. I'm reading and rereading and studying my 3,000 page manual. So hopefully I'll have 2,999 pages of that memorized by next week.
Good luck on the test.
Oh, way to ruin it. Things are going good at this moment. It's too early to really get out there and put the information out. I do have to kind of set a budget. I'll be working with Lisa on that within the next couple of weeks. And John, if you're going to be at NYLT, I think we have a way that same weekend. Maybe you and I can get together on what you just said that you want to talk to me about.
Oh, love to.
All right.
Yeah, and Alan, I was just gonna say, Adrian stopped in today and we filled out started filling out the application for it. So once we get, I think Eric's information in there, we'll be able to send that off to the national office. So
okay,
that's the
great.
first step.
All right.
Very good.
So I had a couple more things that I just remembered here after I heard Alan talk. One of the things that we're working on is the Scouting Now, Scouting How, which deals with how to use Scout Book and how to use the council website. And I just got that format emailed me from Lisa, and I'll be developing the program. And if Margaret's still on, I think she might want to be talking about her Cub Scout Powwow idea.
Yeah, Lisa and I have been planning out a Cub Scout Powwow. This is for Cub Scout leaders. It's a one-day training. But hoping to get it at camp maybe next fall. And it takes about a year to get everything planned ahead. We're looking for first year doing this because it has been done in this council in decades. Not since I've been here, but way before I came. Just doing a one-day thing where it's just everybody kind of like round robin transfers around to the different sessions and learns things. Once we get it built up where more people will come, we can put in a lot of different classes and they can choose which class they want. But right now, being the first time in, I'm figuring we're gonna be lucky if we get 30 people there. So we can everybody gets the same thing. But there'll be basic things of what Cub Scout leaders would need to do with their dens. Give them some more information, hands-on, takeaway stuff with a lunch. So, and I'll be theme oriented. So we're getting that planned out.
Do you have a target date for that yet, or? idea?
I'm looking for like September or October, early October. After the school year starts, getting new leaders, give them some, jump in hands-on training as to how to get them enthused with
Yep.
older leaders, get some ideas and planning stuff out before it gets too cold. We want it done at camp.
Oh, that's great. Really good. All right. Well, thank you.
Figuring out a pirate theme. To get everybody, the staff at least come in costume, really have a lot of fun with it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. All right. Neat. All right. I'm just looking at the time. We're running low here. So does anybody else have anything they want to share? All right. Well, then I will try to wrap this up here. So right now, as it looks today, there. So as it looks today, things are looking better as on the COVID front. It's not the end, but hopefully it's the beginning of the end. And so now we're trying to think, we know the situation, we're in the numbers, we want to get kids out there, we want to get activities going, we want to get the program going again, right? So really post-COVID, what should we be doing next? Okay. And I'm really glad that we got your feedback before we talked about this, because this is great. This is exactly the kind of stuff that we wanted to hear, right? It's like everybody's got good ideas. We're still moving. It's like we want to come out of this with momentum, right? So continue to make the focus of all program events. Again, exciting, fun, value added. Pretty much I know all of you, and it's in your DNA. I know that as leaders and being involved with scouting. But the next thing, think about who else you can involve. Succession planning. Margaret, that idea of you and Lisa's, that is great, because I think that is got to be our focus, is the Cub leaders of the future, of tomorrow. I mean, we need to get good leaders. We get good leaders, we get more kids. We keep the program healthy. Other ideas, be in sync with the processes to help you optimize, right? That's largely my focus right now. For lack of other things to focus on, it was how do we optimize programs? So hopefully in what we've shared with you today, you kind of got a flavor of, we've got things at the front of the program. We're trying to help you to schedule, to get it set up, get it organized, keep things sort of fluid. We're talking about after the program, try to collect feedback. We're giving you the sort of the resource archive to, store the records and sort of run your meetings and stay organized as a team and a group. So, but if there's other ideas, please let me know. We want to kind of continue to take feedback. And again, I want you all to kind of feel too, it's like, I'm not going to come at you with program ideas necessarily and say, hey, we're going to do it this way. That's not my style. And, I know, like I said, I know pretty much all of you, that I know you're all committed and, you're doing good things. Don't get in the way. If it isn't broken, don't try to fix it, right? Okay, enough of that. Event quality. So again, this is going to be something that I'll come back to. It's not necessarily pressing right now, but it's going to be something we'll probably try to start this effort probably this summer. Okay, so stay tuned with that. And again, it's always going to be the question: did the kids have fun? Right, that's the key thing we're working with here. Okay. Last thing, it's not on the agenda, but I did want to make a plug. And we've been talking with Ken, Joe, and I, and Eric Strauss talked to Ken about this, but I wanted to bring some of the rest of you in the loop on it. Camp Decorah, 100 years old last year. So we want to have a 101st sort of, we'll call it the 100+1 centennial celebration out at Camp Decorah. And what we're thinking about is doing a council-wide spring camperee. So this would be, I believe it's the first weekend of May, this upcoming spring. Okay. So We're going to start probably gearing up a team to start planning that more. We've got sort of a rudimentary plan drawn out right now with sort of penciled out. But as we get some more momentum with that, we'll probably be contacting some of you on this call to maybe help with that. But we'd really like to make this, again, sort of a come out of COVID. We want to fill Camp Decorah. That's sort of the goal, right? We want to get Cub Scouts. We want to get Weeblos. We want to get Scouts BSA, Explorers, Adventurers, the whole bit. Okay. So that's sort of the vision. How we're going to pull it off, we don't quite know all the details yet, but we're confident we'll figure it out. So, okay. So that's all I have. If there's other questions.
We'll maybe just wrap it up with a quick thank you. Big thank you to Todd for helping to organize this. And I'm excited about this as an opportunity to kind of keep us all connected with our different programs and, learn how we can best support each other. How can, camping support training when needed? How can training support camping? How can OA support activities? How can activities support advancement and all that? So our intent is to try and run this meeting, once every 3 or 4 months. Probably a quick, hour and 15-minute online format, unless there's a reason to bring it back in person, and use it as a way to keep us all connected. And when program is strong, it keeps kids engaged, and when there's more kids engaged, it just helps the entire council function better. And the most important thing of that is that as many kids as possible get the life-changing values of scouting. So big thank you to everybody, and program absolutely makes that all happen.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, Joe, and thanks, everyone. If there are no other questions. Yes, Tim, that's exactly the model I was thinking about. Thank you. If you can see the comment, Tim just said the last time camp was filled was Trailblazer.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's exactly the model that we were talking about. Something like the Trailblazer event. So, yep. Great point. Yep. All right. Well, I'll be in touch. And like I say, I'll be reaching out to Ken, to you, Ken, and also Lisa and the rest of the training team here. So, all right. Well, thank you much. Everyone have a great evening.
Thanks, everybody.